Hello and welcome to the Freedom Speak podcast, the mouthpiece for Freedom Speak International, an organization built for and by the immigrant communities in Canada to articulate and amplify issues that matter to us. Today, we are privileged to host Mr. Liberatus Mwang'ombe, a Tanzanian pro-democracy activist in the diaspora. Welcome to our podcast, Mr. Mwang'ombe.
Thank you, Anja. I'm here.
Yes, thank you. Before we begin, let me reiterate that in this podcast, we support and welcome and promote free speech within the confines of the rule of law, respect for oneself, and respect for others. Welcome again, Mr. Mwang'ombe, and please start by introducing yourself.
Thank you, Anja, and thank you, Freedom Speak podcast. I'm happy to be here as we're going to have a very good conversation trying to break down what's going on back home in Tanzania. By the way, my name is Liberatus Mwang'ombe, like you have introduced me, or you can call me Libe. I'm a human rights activist and a pro-democracy person. I'm here to speak to you and everybody who's listening so they know what's transpired in Tanzania. That's pretty much it about me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mwang'ombe, for making the time. Yes, something unprecedented happened in Tanzania in October. President Samia Suluhu was re-elected for her second term in office, but that election was marred by violence, leading to the death of hundreds, if not thousands, of people. Now, a similar thing happened in Kenya in 2025. Uganda is heading into an election, and there is anticipation there is going to be violence. So these issues are raising some very serious questions about shrinking democratic space, sanctity of life, and what those of us in the diaspora can do to expand democratic space. Mr. Mwang'ombe, expanding democratic space back home. What are your thoughts about that?
This is happening across Africa, and I'm so worried that in January, Uganda is having election. That might happen because Samia Suluhu Hassan and Museveni are working together, and we have some very credible information. Some of the people who came to Tanzania on October 9th to suppress election, to suppress the protests and voices of Tanzania were mercenaries from Uganda. So election did not happen in October 29 in Tanzania. We have to put that very straight. And Samia was not elected. I will explain why. Samia instilled herself in power. So in regard to diaspora, what can diaspora do to make sure our region has democracy, rule of law, and human rights? Number one, as diaspora, we are well exposed. We live in a developed country where we have freedom to speak. We have freedom of movement. You can speak, you can say anything you want, but you hear nobody comes to your house, knock on your door, try to snatch you or abduct you, like the same situation happening in Uganda, happening in Tanzania, happening in Kenya, like in our region. So diaspora, we have rights, and rights comes with obligation. Number one, we have to speak up. We have to speak up. We have to expose what's going on in our region. We have to express the way our region freedom is suppressed. We have to explain the way our brothers and sisters have been abducted, kidnapped, all these atrocities. So as diaspora, we are the only hope in our region, because our people back home cannot speak freely as we can. So number one responsibility of our regional diaspora is to speak out, to communicate what's going on in Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda.
I hear you. So now when it comes to speaking truth to power, I think we have seen what has happened post the violence in Tanzania, that the government has moved to suppress the loudest voices. It has moved to detain other people, and some of them have actually died in these processes. So now the question becomes, when we speak truth to power as a diaspora community, how should we do it so that we can get a maximum impact?
Yes, that's a great question. I usually like to put things in a context, like you said, post-election violence and all the stuff. Violence broke out after post-elections. In Tanzania, it's a little bit different. The violence did not happen after election. In fact, we did not have election at all. There was no election at all because people started protesting at 10 a.m. in the morning across the country. Dar es Salaam, Mwanza, Mbeya, all the biggest region, people came out in some other small towns. So people did not even go out and vote. In fact, if you read SADC reports, Southern African Development Countries reports, on their report, they stated very clear they had deployed teams.
That's right.
There were no people on the polling stations. Some of them were very few. And in some of polling stations was absolute nobody voting. Number two, SADC reports stated that in midday, there was internet shutdown, there was an electricity shutdown, and some of their teams were pinned down by Tanzania security agents, forced them to delete the videos and all information, video, pictures, and all information they had on their official gadget. They did that to conceal what was happening. So SADC stated very clearly that the elections in Tanzania did not meet any democratic standards. That's number one. Number two, you have African Union, AU, African Union of all institutions, organizations in Africa. Them too stated very clear that the elections did not meet any democratic standard. And last but not least, you have ANC, African National Congress, a Nelson Mandela Party from South Africa.
Right.
They stated very clear. They were observers. And ANC is a sister party of Chama cha Mapinduzi, the ruling party, Samia Suluhu's party. They stated you could expect the sisters party to say something good about the election. Them too, they said they did not see anything like elections. There was no election, and that's a fact because people did not come out to vote. And that's the reason Samia Suluhu Hassan did not do traditional sworn in. We usually sworn in at Benjamin Mkapa Stadium in Dar es Salaam, a big stadium. But Samia Suluhu Hassan was sworn in military barracks. She was sworn in a military base, and that can tell you a lot. If somebody says she has won for 97.66%, that's 98%, you are sworn in on a military barracks, that means she knows that she did not win. So coming to diaspora,
right?
Yeah, people back home are in danger. They cannot speak their minds, like I said. As diaspora, we are obligated to tell our stories, put so much pressure to these dictators, because if we do not put pressures to these dictators, talk to the international partners, our friends, tell them to do not sponsor these regional dictators. Museveni, Ruto, and Samia Suluhu Hassan, because we have to go to the economy. As diaspora, we are obligated to do that because we are not doing that for political gain or for any other reasons. We are doing that for a better future of our region.
Yeah, I hear that. The whole objective of this conversation is actually to hammer home the point that we in the diaspora, we have the platform to be able to speak to the things that bother people back home, because we can see what is called immigration is no longer an option for many of us. We used to flee to countries like America and elsewhere, and we have actually seen that these borders are closing. These countries are saying, well, we have had enough of you people coming into our own countries, and they're closing their countries to us. So we have an obligation to do something back home to better the situation for those that are there and for ourselves. So then the situation in Tanzania right now, we agree the election was marred by violence. There wasn't any. There is no legitimacy in the government that is already there. But how is the situation now? Do we even know the number of those that died?
A great question, Wanja. We don't not know the numbers, but we know the number is in thousands. In thousands. You have alluded something about our borders, how we can go across our borders, our friendships, brotherhoods in the East Africa region. Actually, I have to be very grateful to Kenyan people. As we speak, the situation in Tanzania is dire, and it's dire. People have been abducted since October. Actually, before October 28th, Samia Suluhu Hassan and her cronies started cracking down this. Sense. Anyone who speaks against the government, they get abducted, they get tortured. Even people who came in Tanzania to observe Tundu Lissu's case, you know about Boniface Mwang'ombe and other Twaile, they were kidnapped, sodomized, tortured. And this sort of evil was done with a female president who you expect should have known better.
Now, why do you think Suluhu has come out so aggressively and so violently right now? Because in her first term, we saw a woman who was determined to take the country forward. Then there's a sudden shift, and now all we are seeing is violence and ruthlessness that is unprecedented. What is happening there?
It's a great question. Number one, because she knows she's very unpopular. People do not like her. It's not that people don't like her because she wears hijab or she's Muslim. People don't like her because she could not deliver a thing. What she has to do is to make sure she goes back to power by iron fist. That's the reason since she came into power, she came up with a 4R talking about rebuilding, reform, a lot of stuff. That was just a crap. It was a transcript to the Western countries telling them that she's doing something, but in a real sense, she has been kidnapping people. We have this young guy, his name is Chaula. He drew a picture of Samia Suluhu Hassan. And because Samia Suluhu Hassan was very unpopular, she wasn't delivering, she decided to burn down that picture. Guess what? Samia Suluhu Hassan arrested that kid and charged her with some charge. I don't remember what it was, but she was sentenced to prison or pay a fine of 5 million Tanzania shillings, which is equivalent about 2,000 and some changes USD. So the people of Tanzania contributed the money and paid it, and he was free. Few days later, the kid was, we're talking about general elections, but when you go to the internal parties, Samia Suluhu Hassan, even her nomination was sham. She was not nominated. She nominated herself into candidates. And that's the reason you have people like former ambassador to Cuba, Humphrey Polepole, who was a member of parliament, was secretary of ideology of CCM, one of the top 3 or 4 leaders of CCM. He came out and started speaking the truth. Samia Suluhu Hassan, you got your nomination unjust, you faked the nomination, it was sham. She was doing all of this systematically to suppress democracy in her party, and she comes out to suppress democracy on the rest of the people. And the reason she's doing this because she knows she's very unpopular. She did not deliver. She has sold a lot of her resources to Arabic countries and other people, like our ports. She has sold our wildlife, Ngorongoro. So she has done all, and people are so mad and furious. They were trying to punish her on ballot box. So because she knew that, she had to resort to violence.
Now, I hear that, and it's a very disturbing trajectory, but I can see similarities between what is happening in Tanzania, what is happening in Kenya, and what is happening in Uganda as we speak. So it's almost as if there's a tripartite of terror between these 3 countries, because previously it used to be that if you are in trouble and you're in Tanzania, you could flee to Kenya because Kenya could give you refuge, and vice versa. But now we have seen that Kenyans coming to Tanzania and vice versa, they're not safe. We saw Besigye coming to Kenya from Uganda, running away from persecution only to be arrested in Kenya. What are your thoughts about this? The evolving behavior of these
that's
3
a great
countries.
question. That's a great topic, and I should address that very well. East Africa is not safe. These dictators are operating synergetically. They work together. Museveni is working together with Samia Suluhu Hassan, so is Ruto, and Samia Suluhu Hassan with Ruto and Museveni is vice versa. It's true. And I have to be very honest, and I have to be very grateful to Kenyan people. As we speak, like I said, the situation in Tanzania is very dire. We have people from Tanzania who fled to Kenya. And the only reason Tanzania people now can flee to Kenya and stay there, at least peaceful, because of the Kenyan people. It's not because Ruto. Is because of Kenyan people. If you remember, like a few months ago, Maria Sarungi, one of the activists who fled to Kenya, he was kidnapped in Kenya. If it wasn't for the Kenyan people to voice up and come out, Maria Sarungi would be no more today. We as a people, we have to fight against these 3 dictators. We have to unite. We have to voice up. If we hear something is happening in Tanzania or in Uganda, Kenyan has to voice up. So is Tanzania and Uganda when something happening in Kenya. We have to work together. I appreciate Kenyan people because you guys have been so great since 2027 when Tundu Lissu was shot 17 times. You guys gave him blood, gave him a home, and he recovered, eventually went to Belgium. So we have to work together as diaspora, as East Africa children, to defeat these dictators.
I hear you. Then beyond the speaking truth to power, we have done a lot of that on social media, on public spaces. There's a lot of talking. But then the question becomes, what kind of help can we expect from, say, the international community? And what strategies shall we use to make sure that this kind of intervention happens and happens quickly?
Yeah, I mean, when we speak to international communities and partners and friends, we have to be very honest and we have to tell them exactly what's happening. Samia has killed thousands of people. We have to put that record straight. She has killed thousands of people. Samia Suluhu Hassan did not win. There was no elections in Tanzania. We have to prove that with evidence. Tell our international partner. Bobby Wine is being tear gassed. His followers have been tear gassed with no reasons. I'm seeing videos now on Twitter. What's happened in Kenya? It's like a war zone. We have to tell these stories to our international partners, to our friends, and we have to be very firm on that. Do not support dictators. Don't give them money. Put sanction on them, discipline them. We have to be very blunt and straight. If we do not do that, those people back home, the dictators, they're gonna go to our people and say, hey, you see, America is with us, Europe is with us, because they are not doing anything. The good news is that United States has done something about Tanzania. Even EU has done something in Tanzania. They have issued some statements condemning all of this. And as we speak, United States is about to review the bilateral relations with Tanzania because of these atrocities. So as diaspora, we are obligated to speak to our representatives, whoever represents you in your congression or your area, speak to them, write email, call, schedule an appointment, tell the story, and say there is a human rights violations, democracy, there's a backsliding of democracy in Uganda, in Kenya, and Tanzania. We have to speak up. We have that privilege to do so. Our brothers and sisters in Tanzania, in Kenya, do not have that freedom as we do.
I see. Now, if I would take you a little back to the time when our countries were fighting for independence, we saw a very strong alliance of African countries, both in the country and outside, to build institutions that could support democratic expansions. But now we are also seeing a trajectory in North America and in the US in particular, where institutions that would help support democracy in Africa are crumbling. Where does that leave us?
That tells us it's our obligation to fight for democracy in our country. It's our obligations to fight for justice in our country. We do not have to depend on the West. The West just comes as a complement. We have to do our own. Others crumbling in America, whatever countries, which is not East Africa region, it tells us that it's our duty to bring back the democracy.
Yes, we do have a duty to bring back democracy. I agree with you. But then the question I keep asking, and I'm not hearing enough answers from different parties, is how. So as a human rights activist and somebody who is seasoned in experience in how to organize and to rally support, do you have any insights that you can share?
Yes, absolutely. It's not easy. It's very tough. And it needs a lot of consistency and commitment. Getting people, rallying support in fighting for democracy is not something easy. First of all, you have to capacity building. Help diaspora to understand what democracy is. Why are we doing this? And when we do this, what's the end results? When we have democracy in our region, when we have rights in our region, when the courts, you guys, Kenyans have very good courts, but in Tanzania, you get judgment based on who you know. So we explain these things to our people that, hey, when we have democracy, when we have duly elected leaders, we have good courts, we have good parliament, and we have good executive. And these are kind of things we have to explain over and over to our people. We have to fight for this. It's not easy, it's tough, but we will win.
I hear you. Now, would you be open to share, like, for example, the Tanzanian diaspora in the U.S.? Do you have, is it a union or a body that brings them together? And what are they actively doing as we speak now? And what help do they need, support?
That's a good question. We, as diaspora, especially in the United States, and Europe and other countries in Africa. We are so united now through social media. We do not have organization as per se. We have groups. So besides WhatsApp groups, we have Clubhouse where we do have discussions, dialogues about our country, and we have hundreds of people coming there. We talk, we speak, and I can tell you this. One of the things which brought down to the protest was the voice from diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have been having these discussions on a Clubhouse on Sauti ya Tanzania. We have this platform, Sauti ya Tanzania, very popular in Tanzania, very popular in diaspora. We hold discussions day and night, talking about our country, talking about democracy. And this is how we can help our region. Uganda, Kenya, open your platforms. Talk about what's going on in Tanzania, in Kenya and Uganda. Talks about what is at stake in our region. That's how we mobilize people. That's why we are able to bring tens of people in Tanzania embassy. Like just a few weeks ago, we protested outside the Tanzania embassy. Like we are protesting, demanding the justice of those who were killed, tortured, and injured during these elections. So this is how you can mobilize people. Start a platform like Clubhouse platform, Sauti ya Tanzania, Spaces, all this stuff. Eventually, you could register an organization and do it systematically.
I hear that. Now, let's talk a little bit about people in positions of power propping up governments like, for example, Suluhu's, and the backing of Kikwete and other leaders with money to continue to propagate this kind of leadership. What do you have to say to that?
I lost you. Can you ask that question again?
I'm asking, let's talk about people in positions of power. You know, other than Samia Suluhu Hassan, Samia Suluhu enjoys the backing of other people in positions of power to continue to suppress Tanzanians. And I'm speaking in particular about President Kikwete, former president. He has been mentioned in different forums about his role in propping up Samia Suluhu's government. So the question I'm asking is, what do you have to say to that? And what can Tanzanians do about it?
Actually, Kikwete is one of the problems of our country. Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete is one of the main problems in our country. Kikwete is behind all of this. It has been believed that she's quiet. I mean, he is quiet. He's not saying anything. And being silenced on injustice, that's complicity. We have Judge Warioba, who was a judge, was an attorney general, was Tanzania Prime Minister. He was Vice President. He spoke just 2 days ago what transpired during elections, the killings, the massacre. Judge Warioba has stated very clearly. Samia Suluhu Hassan has killed more people than Idi Amin Dada killed Tanzanians in 1979 and 1978. Whose son ran for parliamentary seat, he goes unopposed. His wife ran for parliamentary seat, he goes unopposed, and his son is a prime minister. That's the reason he's quiet. And now, silence on this time is complicity.
I hear you. And I find that that's a very interesting angle to bring up, because as we speak now, Samia Suluhu's children and in-laws and affiliates in government. So we have a problem of nepotism in the Tanzanian, in the country itself. But then the question becomes, what is happening to institutions that are supposed to be doing the checks and balances in matters of governance in Tanzania? What has happened to those?
And that's the biggest problem we have as well. We do not have checks and balance in Tanzania because Samia controls the bunge, the parliament. Samia controls the courts. Samia controls the executive. Samia appoints each and every judges. Samia even appoints parliamentary secretary. And now you have this parliament with 99% of CCM member of parliament from Samia's party. There's no checks and balance. You have with Samia's brother-in-law, Mchengerwa, as Minister of Health. You have Hassan, Suluhu Hassan, as Vice Minister of Education. And you have another son, a daughter actually, I'm sorry. She has another daughter who is a member of parliament through special seat. So you can see that level of nepotism.
These are valid concerns, but then what can we do different as to try and address these factors, because they keep coming up, and I'll be thinking before Samia there was Magufuli, and before Magufuli there was Kikwete, but that trajectory has not changed.
I mean,
how do we address systemic problems that keep coming up and affecting us?
In order to address these systematic problems, Tanzania needs new constitution. We have been fighting for this forever, since inception of multi-party system in 1992. We need a new constitution. We need a constitution which will put the power to the people and not one person. The president of Tanzania has so much power as we speak. She controls everything. And that is one of the issues Tanzanians have been fighting for. Once we have good constitution, Samia will have no power in parliament. Samia will have no power in the courts. We have free and fair courts. We have independent judicial system. We have independent parliament. And eventually, people will get in power, will be elected as a member of parliament by merits, not by being a relative of the president.
I hear you. So what is happening right now post Samia's re-election, disputed or otherwise? What is happening right now to ensure that this kind of thing does not recur?
That's a tough question, and you cannot have just a straight answer. A lot of things have to happen to prevent this from happening again. Number one, there must be accountability. Whoever has ordered shoot to kill and killed thousands of Tanzanians, they have to be brought to justice. And no question, it was Samia Suluhu Hassan who ordered shoot to kill. And I'm not saying this from nowhere. Samia Suluhu Hassan is on a record stating that the protester wanted to overthrow her, so she had to use proportional force to dislodge the protest. And that proportional force lead to thousands of killings. And this is the reason when you listen to CNN, actually CNN has done very good job, a live murder show. They did investigative journalists. They were able to locate mass graves. They were able to explain the lethal force used by Samia Suluhu Hassan. At the same time, she's saying she used proportional force. Number one, in order to prevent this from happening again, people and Samia Suluhu Hassan have to be held accountable, period. Once we hold these people accountable, there's no way somebody else will want to do this again.
I hear that. And this, something similar happened in Kenya post 2007. We saw Kenya appealing to the ICC, and this ended up with our President Kenyatta then and his deputy Ruto being indicted for crimes against humanity. I don't know whether something similar is happening in Tanzania, or that if, as activists for human rights, you're rooting for something like that to happen.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, there is a case that has been opened in ICC. I think Intra-Watch and other activist organizations have already opened a case in ICC, and Samia will be brought to justice and all her cronies. Absolutely, that is happening in Tanzania now.
I see. That is quite encouraging. Now, let's speak a little bit about your immediate former President Magufuli. Because I am asking this question because I want to see the foundation that was laid to bring us to power, even with all the weak institutions that existed then, because we saw Magufuli come in very aggressively and try to transform the country. Then suddenly he's no more, and now we have Suluhu. What has happened there? What was happening there?
The former ambassador, Humphrey Polepole, the one who was kidnapped in October, because he was telling Samia Suluhu Hassan truth, and he was telling Samia Suluhu Hassan that you have suppressed democracy in their party. You need to overturn your nomination. Humphrey Polepole, I'm gonna tell you his credential again.
Okay.
He was member of parliament through Chama cha Mapinduzi, Samia Suluhu Hassan party. He was ambassador of Tanzania in Malawi and Cuba. He resigned from ambassador position. He was secretary of ideology of Chama cha Mapinduzi. He was on record. Magufuli was killed with people associated with Samia Suluhu Hassan. He's on the record.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how Samia Suluhu Hassan came to power. And if I can take you a little back, and this is how Kikwete plays. In 2015, we had one of the very competitive elections. Inside the CCM, they had, I think, almost 40 candidates. Kikwete had his people on his pockets. But one man was very powerful. His name is Edward Lowassa. Kikwete did not want him. So he did whatever it takes to put him out of the race. And the moment he did that, Chama cha Mapinduzi people did not like that. When they went to vote on the last three candidates, they voted for Magufuli on their primary. So when, Kikwete had Bernard Membe, I think Achalozi Migiro and January Makamba, those people did not go through because people were so mad with Kikwete, they had to vote for Magufuli. And when they voted for, I'm talking about their primary, when they voted for Magufuli, now Kikwete had only one shot, the vice president. And then Kikwete was chairman of Chama cha Mapinduzi. He had all the power in Chama cha Mapinduzi. He instilled Samia Suluhu Hassan as vice president. And here you come 2021. Because he lost the main nomination because he wanted Bernard Membe, he wanted January Makamba, Achalozi Migiro and other people. But Magufuli beat them on the primary because people were so mad with Kikwete. And now he had only one position, vice president. So instill Samia Suluhu Hassan as a vice president. And here comes 2021. Magufuli is killed. I'm saying he's killed because Ambassador Polepole had stated that clear. And we caught him because he has a lot of source of information. He knows a lot of stuff. He was in the government. He was close to Magufuli. So he knows a lot of stuff. Has
there been an investigation into that allegation that Magufuli was actually killed? Has there been an investigation? And if there was, what are the findings?
So that's a great question, Wanja. There has been no investigation, no reports on Magufuli death. And that is a playbook of Chama cha Mapinduzi. We are talking about Humphrey Polepole, the ambassador, being abducted. All we saw was the blood on his house. We are talking about hundreds of Tanzanians who have been abducted and others killed. The same script. No investigation, no arrest, no suspect.
Where is
I don't expect anything from Magufuli death.
I hear you. Where is Mr. Polepole today?
We don't know. Actually, Mr. Polepole was kidnapped, was in October, beginning of October, like few days before the election. And on that month, just October, from October 1st to October 25th, 55 people were kidnapped and disappeared. 55 people, including Humphrey Polepole. To date, no investigation, no suspect, no arrest. And these are cases which are all over the places. Just in May, Catholics, bishops, Catholic priest, Father Kitima, he was attacked, almost killed on the Catholic compound in Dar es Salaam because he was saying CCM is stealing elections. We need reforms. We need to have fair playground so we can save our country. This priest was attacked, brutally beaten. To date, no investigation, no arrest, no suspect. The case went cold. So I don't expect anything on the Magufuli death until we have new administration.
Let's talk about Mr. Tundu Lissu, the opposition politician. We understand he's still in prison, is he?
Yes. Mr. Tundu Lissu has been in prison for over 8 months, since April 9th. And he's charged with treason. The reason he's charged because he was demanding free and fair elections. To date, since November 12th, they haven't brought him to court. And we don't know what's going on. And we hear that the way they put him in cell, they isolate him, and he's under CCTV camera 24/7. Even when he goes to bathroom, his family cannot see him now. Since November 12th, his political parties leaders cannot see him as well. They cannot talk to them. There's a lawyer who went to see him this past week, Gaston Galbindi, and when he went there, he could not have privacy with him. Tundu Lissu, he's not a convict. He's just a suspect. And they have removed all his rights. He doesn't have privacy. He cannot see his relative since November. And the lawyer went there. They couldn't even give him privacy. That's how they treat Tundu Lissu.
Now, I'm listening to this, and I commiserate with the people of Tanzania because these are gross human rights abuses.
Mm.
And the situation doesn't seem to be improving as we speak. It seems to be getting worse. So what would you say are the most immediate and urgent interventions that you would like to see happen in Tanzania as we speak now?
We only have one choice because Samia Suluhu Hassan does not listen. CCM does not listen. We have to take back to the street. And that is our last resort. We have to. And we're going to take it back to the street because Tanzanians' destiny is on the hands of the people, not Samia Suluhu Hassan and Hassan Abdul or CCM cronies. We have to take back to the street. We have seen statements from Washington, D.C. We have seen a statement from Europe. We have seen a statement from Ghana. We have seen a statement from EFF, from Bobby Wine, from all of these institutions, even UN. Samia Suluhu Hassan and Chama cha Mapinduzi do not listen. We have to take back to the street. Our destiny is in our hands.
Hear you. The question that I have first and foremost is talking about sanctity of life. We have seen the Tanzanian government is willing and very ready to kill people. So going back to the streets right now, is that an option? And if it is, how do people safeguard themselves, protect themselves, make sure your voice is heard, but you don't die speaking up?
Actually, that's a great question. We know all the things we do, we are at risk. Even me speaking here, I'm at risk.
Right.
Because Samia Suluhu Hassan and Chama cha Mapinduzi have committed transnational repression. They have sent people in America and in other countries try to suppress us. We have done protests in IFM. We have done protests outside the embassy. And they sent embassy people to tailgate on us, taking picture, intimidate us. And we know when we go out and demand our country back, Samia Suluhu Hassan will put the guns out to kill us. But that bullet will never stop us. We are fighting for our country. And when we're fighting for our country, we expect that. We know they will shoot us because they don't have any way to keep in power but using violence and bullets. We understand that. And we know it's very risky, but we have no choice. Because if we don't do anything, they're going to keep suppressing us. They're going to keep squandering our resources. They're going to keep squandering our economy and everything. And they're going to keep killing people. As we speak, they're abducting people. I'll give you an example. On October 20, Samia Suluhu Hassan mercenaries killed people who were on their homes, not even on the street. So we will lose nothing. You go out to protest, you get killed. You stay home, you get killed. So what do we have to lose? We're going to take to the street and we expect that. But she knows that she's in limelight as we speak.
I hear you. So then over and above the Tanzanian diaspora, we know there are people that would be sympathetic to your cause, people that have received your reciprocal support from Tanzania. What would you tell these people in as far as helping expand democratic space in Tanzania is concerned?
First of all, we really appreciate their voices. We really appreciate their solidarity standing with us, and we asking them to keep doing the same, keep fighting for us. Of course, we are fighting for ourselves, but their voices matters, their actions against Samia Suluhu Hassan matters. We asking them to keep fighting for us, to keep voicing for us. This fight is not over until it's over, and we thank you so much for what they're doing.
I hear you. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to say? Maybe something that you have forgotten, something that you'd like to add to this very important discussion?
Yeah, I just want to put in a perspective the whole thing. Tanzania started multi-party system in 1992. And in 1995, opposition had 4 members of parliament. And we had like 42 ward members. In 2000, we have 5. 95, we have 4. And 2000, we have 5 members of parliament. 2005, we had 11 members of parliament. 2010, we went a little up. We had 49. And 2015, we had 70 member of parliament, just the opposition. That's on Chadema side, plus CAF were 100 plus. But in 2020, we only had 1. In 2025, Chadema had 0. And that is democratic backsliding because Samia Suluhu Hassan and CCM are systematically suppressing suppressing the opposition and democracy. And here comes, I want to show how Samia Suluhu Hassan is not the president. And I want the world to understand. Do not address her as a president because there was no election. And it's very simple. Protests broke out at 10 a.m. in the morning. SADC report, African Union report, ANC reports, they stated it very clear. There was no elections. That's number one. Number two, Samia Suluhu Hassan claims to have got 31.9 million votes. She counted those votes for 2 days. Remember, Wanja, in 2022, Kenya had the elections. Ruto had 7 million votes, and Baba Raila Odinga had like 6.9 or 7 million votes. Total was 14 million plus. It took Kenyans 5 days to count 14 million votes. It took Samia Suluhu Hassan 2 days to count 32 million votes. 2 days. She did not have electricity. She did not have internet. Okay. And we are not electronical. We do manual ballots, paper, count one by one. And it took her 2 days. Mm-hmm. Kenya had electricity, you had internet, transfer stuff. It took you guys 5 days. And it took her 2 days. And she was sworn in on the military barracks. That can tell you she is not legitimate president. I think I should end there.
Yeah, you make a very valid point. And then maybe one last question. We have seen some countries introducing sanctions against Tanzania. Is that a deterrent? Is that deterrent enough? Or do they need to do more? And if they have to do more, what is it that they can do?
Sanction, ban all these goons, Samia Suluhu Hassan, Abduli, and all people who enabled Samia Suluhu Hassan to kill thousands of Tanzanians. Mm-hmm. Ban them, sanction them, free their account. And I'm saying this very clear. I'm not even scared because we need to put consequence on them for the behavior to stop. It's good they're getting sanctioned. Ban them. They should travel to their countries. Let them stay in Tanzania. And they have to put more pressures. Whatever it takes to put these people in check, it has to be done. And I have no objection on that. And I'm very serious on that. Because for the behavior to change, there has to be consequence. These people have been doing this with impunity. So there has to be consequence for them to listen and stop killing Tanzanians.
I hear you. Well, then, as your last word, for those that are active and concerned about what is happening in Tanzania, both in the diaspora and in the country, what safety precautions would you advise that people to take? Because you want to keep talking and you want to stay alive.
Yeah, first of all, don't trust anybody. If you see anything unusual on your surroundings, report. Just report. Do not trust anybody. However, don't stop. Keep talking, keep voicing up, and make sure you expose each and everything what's happening in Tanzania. And in our region as well. Religion freedom suppression, democracy backsliding, human rights violations. We have record high human rights violation. Think about this. Thousands of Tanzanians have been killed in 2-3 days. Internet was shut down, electricity was shut down, so they can kill people. And this is very clear. It does not even make sense to me. People are okay with this. We have to voice up. We have nothing to lose. Like I said, we have seen people killed who were on their homes. And this is a very interesting Wanja. Actually, the government is saying opposition did the killing. They're flipping that script and they say opposition caused all the killings. Opposition does not own guns. Opposition does not own SMG 47. We have laws in our country. The only people can own guns like SMG, these military weapons, SMG, AK-47, are police officer and military. There's no civilian can own those weapons. So it's obvious Samia Suluhu Hassan shoot to kill order killed our sisters and brother, and she has to be held to account.
I hear you. And I think that's a good place to end it. The take-home point from where I stand and from what I'm hearing is that truth-telling is a very important factor when it comes to defense for democracy and human rights, because when counter-narratives like that are being bandied around, people have a hard time trying to figure out where exactly the truth lies.
Right. Yes. Yeah, we are obligated to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. And this is what we've been doing. It's true that Samia has been kidnapping our people. Mm-hmm. It's true that Samia has killed the thousands of Tanzanians. It's true that there was no elections. The reports have stated very clear. And even his Senate, United States Senate has stated that There was fraudulent election. The results were predetermined. I've shown you the facts, Wanja. How can these people count 32 million in 2 days? It's logistically impossible. So we have to tell this truth. Samia Suluhu Hassan is a legitimate president. She's not our president.
Thank you. I hear you. Thank you so much for making the time to speak with us. We really do appreciate, and we hope that your message is home, that anyone who cares about democracy, about Tanzania, and generally the East African region and everywhere is listening, and they will do something to help Tanzanians and all of us in general. Thank you for making the time. This is where we're going to leave it. If you like this podcast and you want to share this content, find us on Spotify or YouTube. I am your host, Wanja Gadhu. Until we meet again, thank you. Bye for now.